The first ships arrived without sound. No thunder. No warning. Just a silent tearing of the sky, as if reality itself had been peeled open. Across the world, billions looked up and saw them. Massive, angular warships, black as void, glowing faintly with blue veins of energy, hovered above every major city. From New York to Tokyo, from deserts to frozen tundras, they came all at once. Then the message came. Not in any language. Not in sound. It was forced into every human mind. This world is now under the authority of the Ka'ar Dominion. Resistance will be eradicated. Panic followed. Missiles were launched within minutes. Nuclear protocols activated. Fighter jets screamed into the sky. None of it mattered. Every projectile froze mid-air, then disintegrated into dust. Every jet lost power, falling like broken birds. Humanity's greatest weapons, reduced to nothing in seconds. In a bunker buried beneath what was once known as Switzerland, the world's leaders watched the feeds in silence. General Armin Hale didn't blink. Total suppression, one analyst whispered. They're not just blocking our tech, they're rewriting the rules. Hale's jaw tightened. How long? Hours, maybe days, before full planetary control. Silence fell again. Then a voice, quiet, ancient, and unwelcome, spoke from the back of the room. Minutes. All heads turned. The speaker was not military. Not political. She was old. Far older than anyone there had a right to be. Her white hair hung loose, her eyes, too sharp. Dr. Elira Voss. Officially, she was a historian. Unofficially, she studied things no one wanted to admit were real. Hale frowned. This is a secure war council. You shouldn't even be. You're already losing, she interrupted calmly. Your weapons won't work. Your satellites won't function. Your systems are irrelevant. She stepped forward slowly. Because you're fighting them on their terms. And your solution? Hale asked, voice edged with irritation. Elira smiled faintly. Fight them on ours. Far above Earth, aboard the command vessel Sovereign Ascendancy, High Executor Calethrex observed the planet below. Primitive. Predictable. Already subdued. These creatures rely entirely on mechanical progression, one of his officers reported. Without their technology, they are nothing. Calethrex nodded. Then the conquest is complete. Almost, Executor. There are minor resistance pockets, but... A sudden flicker interrupted the feed. Static. Impossible. Calthrex's eyes narrowed. Explain. Don't know. There's interference, but it's not electromagnetic. That's something else. Before he could respond, another alert blared. Unknown energy signature detected, surface level. Calethrex leaned forward. Show me. Deep beneath the Swiss mountains, Hale stared at the object Elira had revealed. It was old. Not just aged, but ancient, a circular stone platform etched with symbols no one could read. The air around it felt wrong. Heavy. Alive. You're telling me, Hale said slowly, this thing is our plan? Elira stepped onto the platform without hesitation. Yes. That's not science. No, she agreed. It isn't. She knelt, placing her hand on one of the carved symbols. For thousands of years, humans have recorded fragments of something we never understood. We called it myth, magic, madness. The symbols began to glow. Faintly at first, then brighter. But what if we were wrong, she whispered. What if it was never myth? The ground trembled. Lights flickered. Every screen in the bunker went black. Then, one by one, they began displaying the same thing. Alien ships, all across Earth. And something rising to meet them. Calethrex stood. What is that? On the main display, entire sections of Earth were changing. Forests glowing with unnatural light. Mountains cracking open. Cities flickering between reality and something else. It's not technological, the officer said, voice shaking. We can't classify it. A blinding surge erupted from the surface. And for the first time since their arrival, the alien fleet lost stability. Ships flickered. Weapons systems stuttered. Reality itself bent. Back in the bunker, Hale grabbed onto a console as the entire facility shook. "What did you do?" he shouted. Elira didn't look at him. Her eyes were glowing now. "Right. Unnatural. Ancient. We reminded them," she said softly, "that humans were never defenseless." The platform beneath her ignited in a storm of light. Symbols burned into existence across the walls, the floor, even the air itself. And above Earth, something answered. The sky cracked again. But this time, it wasn't the aliens. The sky didn't just crack. It answered. Across every continent, glowing fractures spread through the atmosphere like veins of molten gold. The alien fleet, once perfectly aligned, flawlessly synchronized, began to drift. Ships flickered. Weapons failed mid-charge. Reality itself refused to obey them. Aboard the Sovereign Ascendancy, High Executor Calethrex gripped the edge of his command platform. "This is impossible." His officers were no longer calm. Their movements were sharp, erratic, fear creeping into their voices. "We're losing system cohesion. Navigation arrays are desynchronizing. Stabilize them." Calethrex snapped. "We can't. Something is interfering at a fundamental level. It's not energy, not matter." "Then what is it?" No one answered. Because no one understood. On Earth, something ancient was waking up. In the Amazon, trees bent, not from wind, but from awareness. Their roots pulsed with faint golden light, spreading symbols beneath the soil. In the Himalayas, entire peaks cracked open, not collapsing, but revealing structures hidden beneath rock older than recorded history. In the deserts of Africa, the sand rose in spirals, forming patterns too precise to be natural. And in cities, humans began to feel it. A whisper. Not in their ears, but in their bones. A language no one had learned, yet somehow, everyone recognized. Back in the bunker, General Hale staggered as another shockwave passed through the facility. "What is happening to the planet?" Dr. Elira Voss stood at the center of the stone platform, her body surrounded by spiraling runes that burned like living fire. "It's remembering," she said. Hale stared at her. "Earth doesn't remember." Elira turned slowly. "Not Earth," she corrected. "Us." The symbols floating around her shifted, rearranging into patterns that hurt to look at too long. "This language," she continued, "was never written down. It couldn't be. It's older than ink, older than speech." Her voice deepened slightly, layered with something not entirely human. "It was encoded into us." Hale frowned. "That's not possible." Elira smiled faintly. "And yet, you can feel it, can't you?" He didn't answer. Because he could. A pressure in his chest. A rhythm beneath his heartbeat. Something pulling at the edges of his mind, like a word he almost remembered. Above them, the alien fleet fired. Beams of concentrated energy lanced toward the glowing regions across Earth, toward forests, mountains, deserts, toward the unknown. But the moment the beams touched the surface, they bent, curved, then unraveled into threads of light that scattered harmlessly into the sky. Calthrex's eyes widened. "Our weapons, they're being rewritten mid-execution," an officer shouted. "Something is altering the outcome after we fire." Calthrex turned cold. "That's not possible. Cause precedes effect." Another tremor shook the ship. "Not anymore," the officer whispered. Back on Earth, the first human spoke the language. It wasn't a scientist. Not a soldier. Not a leader. It was a child. In a shattered city, beneath the shadow of a disabled alien drone, a young girl stood alone. Dust covered her face. Tears streaked her cheeks. The machine in front of her flickered, its weapons struggling to reboot. She should have run. She didn't. Because the whisper had become clear. A single word. She didn't know what it meant. But she spoke it anyway. The moment the sound left her lips, reality stopped. For just a second. Then the drone folded. Not exploded. Not shut down. It simply ceased to exist. As if it had never been there. Across the planet, others began to understand. Fragments at first. Broken syllables. Half-formed thoughts. But each one carried power. A soldier whispered a word, and bullets froze in the air. A medic cried out, and wounds closed instantly. A terrified crowd screamed, and an entire alien patrol vanished. Back in the bunker, Hale stared at the screens in disbelief. Is this happening everywhere? Yes, Alira said. And it's accelerating. The runes around her burned brighter now, faster, more complex. But they don't understand what they're doing, Hale said. This could tear the planet apart. Alira nodded slowly. It could. Then stop it. She looked at him, and for the first time, there was fear in her eyes. I don't know how. High above, Calthrex made a decision. Deploy ground forces. Executor, an officer hesitated. Our systems are unstable. If we descend, do it. His voice was absolute. If this phenomenon originates from the surface, we will eliminate it at the source. Thousands of dropships launched from the fleet, cutting through the unstable atmosphere toward Earth, toward the glowing regions, toward the humans. Back in the bunker, alarms screamed. They're deploying ground troops, Hale said. Mass insertion across all continents. Alira closed her eyes. They're trying to fight it, she murmured. They don't understand. Hale grabbed her arm. Then explain it to me. Her eyes opened again. Brighter now. More distant. It's not a weapon, she said. It's a language. Another tremor shook the facility, stronger this time. Cracks spread across the walls. The platform beneath her began to fracture. And languages, she continued softly, don't just speak. The ground split open beneath the bunker. Light, blinding, golden, infinite, erupted upward. Hale shielded his eyes. Alira? Her voice echoed from within the light. They answer. Across Earth, something rose to meet the descending alien forces. Not machines. Not weapons. Something older. Something that had been waiting. And this time, it wasn't just humans speaking. The first alien dropships never touched the ground. They burned before they could. Not from weapons. Not from missiles. But from something that rose to meet them. Across the skies of Earth, the golden fractures widened, no longer cracks, but open wounds in reality. From within them, shadows moved. Massive. Ancient. Watching. High above the Atlantic Ocean, a formation of Kezar dropships descended in perfect alignment. Atmospheric resistance minimal, one pilot reported. Landing in 60 seconds. Then the ocean moved. Not with waves, but with intent. The water below twisted upward into a towering spiral, miles high, defying gravity, defying logic. Within it, something coiled. A shape. A presence. Eyes opened within the storm. Ancient. Endless. Hungry. Pull up, the lead pilot shouted. Too late. The spiral collapsed inward, and from it emerged a creature the size of a city. A serpent of water and light, its body formed from oceans and storms, its scales shimmering like liquid glass. It didn't roar. It didn't attack. It simply looked at the ships, and they dissolved. Every molecule unraveled into mist, as if the creature had decided they were never meant to exist. Across the Sahara, alien forces touched ground. Thousands of armored soldiers poured out, perfectly synchronized, weapons recalibrated, ready to adapt. Secure the anomaly zone, their commander ordered. The sand beneath them shifted. Symbols burned across the desert floor. And then, the ground opened. Not collapsing downward, but unfolding, revealing something buried far deeper than Earth's crust had any right to hold. A structure, a throne, and something sitting on it. The soldiers raised their weapons. Target acquired. The figure moved. Just once. And the entire battalion froze. Not physically, but existentially. Their forms flickered, unstable, undefined, caught between being and not being. The figure stood, cloaked in shadow, crowned with burning runes. Its voice echoed without sound. You speak a language you do not understand. The soldiers tried to fire. Their weapons turned to dust in their hands. In the skies above Tokyo, something else answered. Not vast. Not ancient. but familiar. A single figure stood on a rooftop, a young man, shaking, terrified. Below him, alien troops advanced through the streets. Behind him, the city burned. "I don't know what I'm doing," he whispered. The word was there. In his mind. Dangerous. He hesitated, then spoke it. The air screamed. Light twisted violently around him, spiraling into a blazing symbol that hovered above his head. The ground cracked. The sky darkened. And behind him, something stepped forward. The aliens stopped. For the first time since arriving on Earth, they hesitated, because what stood before them was impossible. A dragon, but not like the myths. Not flesh and blood. This creature was made of fire and geometry, its body shifting between shapes that hurt to comprehend. Wings stretched across the skyline, casting shadows that moved wrong. Its eyes locked onto the alien forces. And it smiled. Back aboard the Sovereign Ascendancy, chaos had taken hold. "We're losing entire divisions," an officer shouted. "Ground forces are being erased, consumed, or what?" Calethrex demanded. The officer hesitated. Judged. Silence fell. Calethrex turned to the main display. Every continent showed the same pattern. Humans speaking. Reality breaking. And things answering. "This is not war," one of his advisors whispered. Calethrex didn't respond. Because he was beginning to understand. Back in the ruins of the bunker, Hale crawled through dust and debris. "Alira," he shouted. A faint glow pulsed beneath the rubble. He dug frantically, pulling aside broken stone until he found her. Alive, but changed. Her eyes burned like stars now. Her voice layered with something vast. "They're not summoning them," she said weakly. Hale froze. "What?" "The words aren't commands." Another tremor shook the ground. "Their names." Far above, Calthrex's fleet attempted to retreat. "Pull back to high orbit," he ordered. "Reform and reassess." The command never finished, because the sky behind them opened. Not like before. Not a crack. Not a fracture. A gate. Something vast moved within it. Larger than fleets. Older than stars. Watching. Waiting. Across Earth, every human who had spoken the language felt it. A presence. A weight. A question. And somewhere, deep beneath everything, something else began to wake. Something even Alira hadn't expected. She looked at Hale. And for the first time, she was afraid. "We made a mistake," she whispered. Hale's blood ran cold. "What kind of mistake?" Alira's gaze lifted toward the sky, toward the gate, toward the impossible shape forming beyond it. Her voice barely held together. "The kind that doesn't just answer back." The sky went dark. The sky didn't just go dark. It noticed. Across Earth, every human who had spoken the forbidden language felt it at the same time. A pressure. Not physical. Not mental. Something deeper. As if reality itself had turned its attention toward them and found them interesting. In Tokyo, the young man who had summoned the dragon collapsed to his knees. The creature behind him, vast, impossible, began to flicker. Its form unstable now. Fracturing. What's happening?" he gasped. The word he had spoken echoed in his mind, but now, it felt incomplete. Hungry. The dragon turned its head toward him. Not with anger. Not with malice. But with expectation. Back in the ruins of the bunker, Hale helped Alira sit upright. "You said it wasn't commands," he said quickly. "That they were names. Then what is this?" Alira's hands trembled. "Names are never free," she whispered. The ground beneath them pulsed, runes burning through the stone like veins of molten gold. "When you speak one, you don't just call something." Her eyes lifted slowly. "You bind yourself to it." Above Earth, the alien fleet began to tear itself apart, not from attack, but from instability. Systems collapsed. Ships drifted into each other. Entire vessels blinked out of existence mid-flight. And beyond them, the gate widened. Calethrex stood frozen, staring at the impossible thing forming inside it. "Analysis," he demanded. No one answered. Because there was nothing left to analyze. The sensors didn't read it. The systems didn't detect it. The ship's AI had gone silent. It was as if the entity beyond the gate refused to be understood. Then it moved. Not forward. Not backward. Just closer. Without crossing distance. Every screen aboard the ship shattered. Every system failed. And in the darkness, a single thought appeared, forced into every mind aboard. Who spoke? On Earth, millions collapsed at once. The ones who had spoken the language. The ones who had called something into reality. They felt it now. A connection. A thread. Something on the other end, pulling. In the desert, the crowned figure of Shadow looked up from its throne. Its burning eyes narrowed. "Ah," it murmured. They noticed. In the ocean, the great serpent coiled tighter, its vast form rippling with unease. For the first time since it emerged, it hesitated. And in Tokyo, the dragon roared. The sound shattered windows for miles. But it wasn't a cry of rage. It was a warning. The young man clutched his chest as something inside him twisted violently. I didn't mean. The dragon lowered its head toward him. Its voice wasn't sound. It was understanding. You called. I didn't know what it meant. You spoke my name. The air around them warped. Reality bending inward. And now, he whispered. The dragon's form began to break apart, fragments of fire and geometry peeling away into nothingness. You pay. Back in the bunker, Hale stared in horror as reports flooded in. People are collapsing worldwide, an operator shouted. Energy spikes, unknown readings, something's draining them. Hale turned to Alira. Stop it. Tell them to stop speaking. I can't, she said. Why not? Her voice cracked. Because they don't know which words are names, and which ones are worse. Another tremor shook the planet. Stronger. Deeper. Something beneath the earth responded to the thing in the sky. The gate expanded further. And something reached through. Not a limb. Not a body. A concept. A presence that didn't belong in reality. And yet, was forcing its way in. Kael'threx dropped to one knee as his mind fractured under the weight of it. This is not conquest, he whispered. This is judgment. Across Earth, the beings that had answered the humans began to fade. The serpents sank back into the ocean. The crowned figure dissolved into sand and shadow. The dragon above Tokyo shattered into fragments of burning light. One by one, they vanished. Because something greater had arrived. Alira gripped Hale's arm with surprising strength. Her glowing eyes filled with fear. They weren't the danger, she said. Hale's voice trembled. Then what is? Alira looked up at the sky, the gate, the thing beyond it, the presence that now pressed against reality itself. Her voice broke. They were protecting us. The ground split open across continents. Not violently, but deliberately, as if something below was answering the call. The presence in the sky spoke again. Not in words, but in truth. You remembered. So now, you return. Hale staggered back. To what? Alira's expression went pale. Not with fear. With realization. The language, she whispered. It wasn't human. The sky began to descend. The sky didn't fall. It lowered. Like something leaning closer to finally see. Across Earth, gravity twisted. Oceans stilled. Winds died mid-motion. Time itself seemed to hesitate. And in that silence, every human felt it. Not fear. Not pain. But recognition. Hale could barely breathe. What is it doing? He whispered. Dr. Alira Voss didn't answer immediately. Because she already knew. Her glowing eyes reflected the impossible thing pressing through the gate. Vast beyond scale, undefined by shape, yet somehow familiar. It's not invading, she said softly. Hale turned to her. Then what is it? Alira's voice trembled, not with fear, but with truth. It's coming back. Above them, the presence shifted. Reality bent to accommodate it, space folding, light curving, existence itself struggling to hold form. And then, it spoke. Children. The word echoed across the planet. Not heard. felt, burned into every human mind at once. In Tokyo, the young man who had summoned the dragon gasped as the last fragments of fire dissolved into the air. But the connection didn't fade. It changed. The hunger was gone, replaced by something deeper, older, memories that were not his own. He saw a time before Earth had oceans, before it had skies, when something vast had shaped it, not as a home, but as a cradle. Across the world, others saw it too. Scientists, soldiers, children, fragments of a truth buried so deep it had become myth, then forgotten entirely. Humanity had not discovered language. They had lost it. Back in orbit, the shattered remains of the Kizar fleet drifted helplessly. Calethrex lay on the cold floor of his command vessel, his body refusing to obey him. His mind, however, was screaming. "What are they?" he whispered, because he had seen it too. Through the cracks in reality, through the impossible presence now touching his thoughts. Humans were not primitive, not undeveloped, not accidental. They were descendants of something the galaxy had erased. Elira fell to her knees as the truth settled into her completely. The language, she breathed. It wasn't magic. Hale stared at her. Then what was it? Her eyes lifted, burning brighter than ever before. It was ours. The presence above Earth pulsed, and the gate collapsed. Not violently, but willingly, as if it had never been separate to begin with. The sky returned. The stars reappeared. The alien fleet, what little remained, drifted in silence. But Earth was no longer the same. Across the planet, the fractures of golden light remained, etched into mountains, oceans, cities. Not cracks, not damage. Marks. Hale looked around at the ruined bunker, then back at Elira. So, what now? Elira was quiet for a long moment. Then she stood, slowly, carefully, as if she were learning gravity again. "They'll come back," she said. Hale's heart sank. "The aliens?" Elira shook her head. "No." Her gaze lifted toward the sky, toward the stars, toward something far beyond them. Us. In orbit, Calethrex watched as a single human vessel, small, insignificant by every known standard, rose from Earth's surface. It should have been impossible. His fleet was gone. His systems were broken. His war was over. And yet, he felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. Because the ship wasn't using engines. It wasn't using propulsion. Reality was moving it. A voice echoed in his mind. Not the vast one from before. Something smaller. Sharper. Human. "You came here to conquer us." Calethrex couldn't respond. Couldn't move. Couldn't think. "But you were right about one thing." The ship stopped directly in front of his shattered command vessel. Its surface shimmered, etched with faint, glowing symbols. But now, he understood. They weren't symbols. They were names. "We are not what we used to be." The presence behind the words grew. Not vast. Not cosmic. But rising. Becoming. "But we remember." Calthrex's vision fractured as the human ship pulsed once, gently. And his entire fleet vanished. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Erased. As if it had never existed. On Earth, Hale watched the sky in silence. They just ended it. Elira nodded. Yes. But how? She looked at him. A faint, knowing smile forming. Because this was never a war, she said. Far above them, the last echo of the presence faded. But not completely. Never completely. It lingered. Watching. Waiting. As humanity took its first step back into something it had once been. Something the galaxy had feared enough to forget. And now was remembering.